Welcome to Being Humankind, with your hosts Brian, Mike, and Neely. We explore what it means to be human in a time of disconnection.
What is the greatest lesson that you've learned that wasn't from a book or from another person?
Meaning that it was from within?
From your own experience. Yeah.
I honestly do not know how to answer this because I'm involved with many things and I will have to go by specific context. So if for example, I cannot have several selves in here. There's not one Tony in here. There's Tony the theurgist, there's Tony the guitarist, there's Tony the husband. So it's very difficult for me to answer that. The greatest lesson?
Yeah.
Okay, the greatest lesson is two, because if you allow me to say that, I truly have an answer, but they come together. So if you would accept both as one, it would make me feel very happy.
Absolutely.
One is do nothing in excess, and the other one is know thyself. Now, what that means philosophically, it could be an entire lecture for both. And it's probably beyond the spectrum of this project we're doing right here, but in a very short, so to speak, way, and without reducing its value, allow me to state that on record, I will try to give you a brief exegesis. Do nothing in excess means that you have the ability to know what is good for you, and when you have surpassed your own limits, so you need to know your limits. So you need to know and be able to identify the ideal, the optimum, because I'm one of these people that I do believe that things can be optimized. So I seek not the perfect, so to speak, the idealistic perfect, and I do not seek, and I cannot do things half. I have to reach them to a certain level to be satisfied. I'm what is known among regular folk a perfectionist, but it's not how I see myself at all. That's how I may appear to others, but I do believe that the greatest lessons I learned from life is that it's a virtue to know when to stop and when to continue in order to not achieve excess. For example, if you're going to drink, know how much your body takes in order to have a nice evening with your friends. Do not cross the physical boundaries imposed by your own structure in order not to ridicule yourself and your surroundings. So there is a biological limit that says to you, Tony, if you go on beyond this point, you will ridicule yourself and you will not enjoy your evening. Not having the wisdom to know that, I believe it's one of the greatest lessons on anything I have ever learned. It could be composing a song. I have friends who compose a song for 2 years. When I find what is the optimum, I stop. And that usually in a short amount of time. I don't labor overthinking things because that's a type of excess to me. And the list goes on. So I believe you understand what I mean by that. I mean that optimizing and never crossing the line that will destroy that nice harmony and balance among the various elements. Of whatever, the self, drinking, any aspect of life, eating, anything can become in excess. So one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned is not to do excess, but only what is useful. So a sort of a minimalistic way, so to speak. For example, I learned how to live lightly on the planet, not to overload my house with plastics, chemicals, not to use chemicals when I clean the house. So I found ways to do what is necessary, but without an excessive approach. The second that goes with it, the know thyself, I'm not gonna lie, to me purely comes from the Delphic maxims, from my culture, the esoteric tradition of Greece. And in the context of the temple of Apollo at Delphi, it meant that when you enter the temple of Apollo, you're supposed to know your limits as a human being, and that this is the domain of deity, and you have to have a certain respect and not enter in an arrogant way in there acting like you're the king of the place, because you have to understand, during these times, many kings who thought themselves as descendants of heroes and gods had a certain arrogance, and they entered temples and this and that. So things that were not like they are today. So there was a need to separate the space of deity with the space of man, to create a certain purity and teach man his and her place in the cosmos. So the know thyself, it's not what most people think today, to my opinion. It's not to read a lot of things and discover yourself. No. A part of this doctrine is that, yes, but the ultimate doctrine behind it is to know your limits, to know your place and to know your limits, not to act like Daedalus and Icarus, who flew above the point that was respectful, and the wax wings melted and he fell. So that's what it means, know thyself. If Icarus knew his place and he didn't try to fly too close to the sun, he would keep his wings. So know thyself, do nothing in excess, and know what you have learned. These three things have saved my life. And they mean a lot to me, and I stand by them.
Excellent. Thank you.
So allow me to share them as a triptych, as one thing that is trifold. Even though it goes beyond that, but those three have literally changed my life because I follow them daily. At least I try. Yeah. Not always succeeding, but I'm thinking consciously about them constantly. Even now, it's time for me to stop, to end this answer. So nothing in excess, know your limits. It's always there for me. And know what you have learned that is related to, if you learn your lessons, own them. Don't relearn them every time. It's a waste of time. That is an answer.